Hi, I recently just read my first ever Stephen King novel, and to be honest, I was a little bit disappointed. This is The Institute, his most recent novel that was published in 2019, and it's about an organisation called The Institute that kidnaps children to use them for their psychic abilities. And the main character, Luke, has a little bit of telekinetic powers, so he's kidnapped for these powers. And as a side note, he also happens to be a child genius. I liked this book. I did. I would give it a 3.5 stars out of 5 because the concept was really great. It was a really cool idea. The idea of killing children for the greater good is such an interesting moral dilemma that was quite juicy to experience and to dig into. But the way King writes, or at least wrote in this book, felt very detached. And I didn't feel very emotionally connected to the characters at all. And when things were happening, I was like, okay. And it was only towards the end, when things were starting to get really exciting, that I was starting to get interested in what happened to the characters specifically. And for that reason, I would have enjoyed more specific horror moments, because it kind of felt like he was relying on the shock factor of it being children who were being experimented on as his horror elements. And for me, that didn't quite hit the horror nail on the head. Does that mean I'm a monster? I don't care about children getting tortured. But there were 2 specific things that really bugged me throughout reading the book. One of which I explored in a video up here, so click on that link if you want to know what it was. But his writing made him feel like such an old man who hadn't caught up to modern society. He would write things like workmen and workwomen milled around. Yeah, you could have just wrote workers and that would have been fine. They were men and they liked to investigate things with motors. What? I know a whole bunch of men, and I only know 1 or 2 of those who would be interested in investigating something purely for the fact that it's got an engine. And here, in this part, he was specifically talking about lawnmowers. Even the men I know who are interested in cars and interested in engines wouldn't care about investigating a lawnmower. 2-tone hair. That was a weird one. And multiple times he would say something like, "The call came through as if I was standing next to the person." Almost as if the clarity of the phone call is supposed to be related to the children's telepathy. Mobile phones are quite good nowadays. I mean, if you just stand in an area that's kind of quiet and as long as you've got good signal, then the call's gonna come through quite well. But the worst offender was a couple of kids were dancing. And he described them as doing the boogaloo. What's a boogaloo? What? How? What does it look like? What is it? Who says boogaloo? You know, it was all stuff like this. It wasn't bad, but it didn't feel very 2019. It felt quite 1950s or 1960s, like progressive 1950s. And then he would mention things like the Trump administration, and then my mind had to do like a weird refiguring of the time zone, and then I was like, wait, no, we're in current day. We're not back in the day. We're in today's day. So you might think that I didn't enjoy this book. I did. It was good. I liked it. It was okay. It was a really good concept. It was quite exciting. The ending was really good. It was all came together very well. But it was these specific aspects about his writing and his narrative choices regarding female characters that I just couldn't deal with. So you should really check out my next video if you liked this book and you want to see what really annoyed me about his female characters. But you're going to have to watch the next video to find out.